Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now, during a Protocol in Ireland, Northern Ireland subcommittee meeting that was on the Wednesday, the 7th of September 2022, where the witnesses were Roger Pollen, head of FSB Northern Ireland Federation of Small Businesses, Michael Hanley, chief executive Lakeland Dairies, Pete Summerton, managing director of McCulla Ireland, were asked by the chair of the subcommittee, Lord Michael J. Baron Jay of Ewelme. Sounds like a friend of Lord Melchett from Blackadder. And he asked him, what impact is the protocol in its current form affecting businesses in Northern Ireland?
Perhaps I could move on to ask you as a first question, and to some extent Michael Hanley's already answered this. How would you summarise the impact of the protocol as it currently operates on your business or on the sectors that you represent? And how would you summarise the balance between the positive and the negative impact of the protocol on your business or sector? Perhaps we could go do that in reverse order, starting with Peter Summerton. Would you like to have a go at that? And then perhaps we'll go to Michael Hanley and then Roger Pollen to give any more general comments.
Thank you, Chair. I think that the key thing that I have to identify at the start is that our business operates in a complete circle. Trucks move goods from Britain to Northern Ireland and then take goods from Northern Ireland back to Britain. It's a binary process, one truck in, one truck out. So it's vital for the Northern Ireland economy that we maintain that flow of traffic across the REC. What we see is, and it's really, I'm going to put this in as few words as I possibly can, what we see is a Northern Ireland protocol that actually isn't working. And I think we'll have to really clearly identify that the protocol isn't working. We are now, we've seen at the end of 2020 where government was going both in the EU and in Northern Ireland and Great Britain with the border arrangements. And we, from the logistics side, realised and called it out quite clearly that the application of the rules of international trade, SPS and customs, to a fast-moving consumer goods trail between Great Britain and Northern Ireland was going to have a severe consequence. I suggested that the 1st of April 2021, which is when the grace periods were going to end, would be April Fool's Day, because if anybody thought that the supply chains would realign by that day, it simply was never going to happen. And I would point out as well that prior to the protocol, prior to Brexit, goods moved across these islands completely freely. So the most cost-effective routes for consumers across these islands was how they moved. So a divergence in trade away from those cost-effective routes can't be seen as necessarily a good thing for the general consumers in Northern Ireland. We see a two-tier protocol in operation at the minute. The two-tier protocol is defined by me as those businesses that benefit from the UK unilateral extension of grace periods, mainly the supermarkets under Stanley schemes, and other businesses that can't benefit from the use of those schemes, where we've seen the full implementation of EU regulations at Belfast, Warrenpoint and Larne. Second to that, we can model clearly what a fully implemented protocol would look like as it currently stands, because it's the same rules as apply between Holyhead and Dublin. And we can see the impact that the application of Brexit has had on those routes, and the extension in terms of costs and in terms of time for traffic moving between GB and Northern Ireland. So whenever we're talking about the protocol today, I need to be clear that we're talking about the protocol as it's written, not as it's being currently implemented, because it's being currently implemented in an extremely two-tier way. I have clear examples of this where I can demonstrate goods returned to Britain because one letter was wrong on a health cert, where different information is received from the ports in terms of how they would like vets to administer this. And please remember, these are all veterinary certificates. They're not anything to do with the haulage part of the business. We simply move the goods. I've evidence on triangular trading where goods were returned back due to the impact of triangular trading. I've got one of the most worrying developments that I've seen were a full health cert of 13 lines. So just for the benefit of everybody here, these are retail goods, 13 pallets of goods coming into Northern Ireland. They're products of plant and animal origin, so they need to be certified with a health cert. The normal model that we've seen, if the vet made a mistake, as a vet did in this case with one line, was that one line would be detained and sent back to Great Britain. In this case here, Belfast City Council has decided to apply new EU guidance and reject everything that is on that health cert. So basically the whole consignment, the whole truckload went back. And at a time whenever cost of living is where cost of living is, at a time where rising costs of fuel and effectively hyperinflation are hitting our sector, we find these things to be relatively useless. What we've got basically is a clear sweep of the portion of Northern Ireland business which currently has the full impact of the protocol applied to it in front of me here. The section that is under standstill at the moment, that's a different conversation, because that's a unilateral move by the UK. That isn't what I would refer to as the implementation of protocol.
Well, thank you very much for that. That was very clear. Michael Hanley, do you want to add to what you've already said on this?
Yes, Chairman. There has been a small negative for Lakeland in relation to some additional minor administration, which we have handled within the business. But overall, the Northern Ireland Protocol has worked extremely well for the dairy business and for our business in particular in Northern Ireland, and it has been seamless from pre-Brexit to post-Brexit. We've continued to export to our 80 countries all over the world, service our customers and look after our farmers and pay a competitive milk price. So the Northern Ireland Protocol is working extremely well for the dairy industry in Northern Ireland.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask Roger Pollen whether he wanted to say something a bit more generally about attitudes amongst small and medium-sized enterprises more generally. We just heard two views very clearly.
Thank you, Chair. I would say those are possibly at the sort of ends of the spectrum that we experience within the membership. We have hauliers in our membership, people who own haulage businesses. We have people who own dairy-related businesses, so we get a lot of those stories coming through. But we've assessed the whole membership, and really our businesses fall into about 5 categories when it comes to the way the protocol is working. There are those businesses who actively benefit from it in the way that Michael's does. The way it's working at the moment gives them good access to 2 markets, and they're really doing well because of it, and they see that it's a great benefit. We've got a lot of businesses in that category. We then have those who are largely unaffected by it. Now, typically they may well be in services which aren't affected by the single market for goods, so they're just carrying on. It doesn't really affect and touch them very much. We then have
services, of course, are not covered by the protocol at all.
Exactly. So the protocol is an interesting concept, but it's not impacting on their business per se. We then have a third category, which is those who don't yet appear to have been affected, and a lot of that is coming under what Peter's talking about, which is that they're insulated to some extent by either grace periods or by the input and support of the Trader Support Service, so that they aren't necessarily experiencing what it might be if the protocol were operating fully. There are then those who, the fourth category is those who are affected but are unaware of it, and that's usually because they're one link down the chain. So somebody else, maybe a bigger operator, is taking the pain, bearing the cost, doing the service, and then passing it on to them with a charge for it, but they don't see any of the workings behind the scenes, so they're unaware really of how the protocol is impacting on them. And then there's the fifth category, which is those who are badly affected by it. And we did a piece of work recently just to try and map that sector, not to understand the number in it, but to try and understand the range in it. And the range of businesses that are badly impacted is quite remarkable. So again, as Peter said, the Stamney grace period, which then became just a sort of unilaterally continued exemption, really squeezes a lot of the businesses that don't benefit from it. So smaller retailers, particularly in delicatessens and shops bringing in small amounts of product from a wide range of sources within GB, are badly impacted by this. But we're also seeing the fish and chip sector badly impacted because they bring in their chips or their potatoes from England, particularly for this, and that's been quite widespread, the reporting of the problems that they're experiencing there. To the other end of that same thing, the fish side of things, the eel business, we found quite a lot of different businesses being impacted by the operations protocol who are in the eel sector, partly because of the CITES elements of the protocol, and so on. So across the piece, there are lots of different ways that it's impacting, and so all of that has to be taken with the fact that it's not yet operating as it was intended to, or as it's potentially likely to.
Well, thank you very much. That's a very helpful introductory.
Now, we seemed to get two different ends of the spectrum, didn't we, when it came to the protocol in its current form, with Peter Summerton seemed quite unhappy about it, while Michael Hanley was very happy with it. But I really do love these subcommittee meetings, if I'm honest, because I always learn something when it comes to the Northern Ireland Protocol. And if you want to watch this in full, I did it in a live stream last night, and I will try to leave it in the link in the description box below, or try and maybe up here or wherever it is. And you can watch it to your heart's content, and don't worry, I won't butting in every 5 minutes. Made a special effort not to. Right, anyway, I shall leave the video here. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.